This is 2b2t, the most infamous server in the history of Minecraft that has withstood the test of time and survived for over a decade and a half. Millions of players have joined the server, and it has gained a reputation of being one of the most chaotic and historic servers in all of Minecraft. In the last 15 years, it has become an extremely well-known Minecraft server, with creators such as the Camping Rusher and FitMC turning the server into a global icon. Nowadays, the server feels as though it has had a huge fall-off in popularity, and the same YouTubers who made it famous hardly ever make content on it anymore. This is the rise and fall of 2b2t. In late 2010, a Swedish man known online as Housemaster created the now iconic Minecraft server called 2 Builders, 2 Tools, more commonly known as 2b2t. Little is actually known about Housemaster's true identity, adding to the mystique surrounding both him and the server over the years. At the time, Minecraft itself was still in its early stages, and multiplayer servers were far smaller than they are today. Only a few days after the server's creation, it was heavily advertised by Housemaster and the other owner known as George Bush 420. This caused a large influx of players from 4chan to join throughout December 2010, forming the first major community on 2b2t. Unlike modern Minecraft communities, these players were entering a server with almost no established rules, no organized moderation, and complete freedom to do whatever they wanted. What made 2b2t unique was its philosophy. Most servers at the time had strict rules, active moderation teams, and frequent map resets. If a player griefed to builds, cheated, or caused problems, they would usually be banned. 2b2t took the opposite approach. Players were free to hack, grief, steal, lie, and destroy whatever they wanted. Even more importantly, the map was never reset. Every action taken by a player would permanently remain as part of the server's history. This unusual concept quickly attracted attention from communities outside of 4chan. Players from Facepunch, another large internet forum at the time, began joining the server in significant numbers. As both communities grew, tensions started to emerge between them. The two different groups fought for territory and leadership over the server, eventually leading to one of the earliest major conflicts in 2b2t history, the Facepunch versus 4chan war. Although the server was still relatively small, many of the things that would later define 2b2t as a server were already beginning to appear. Griefing, alliances, betrayals, and wars were all becoming a part of the server's identity. What started as a small Minecraft server on the edge of the internet was slowly laying the foundations for what would eventually become the most infamous server in Minecraft history. Throughout the years of 2012 to 2016, 2b2t became a truly unique server and slowly gained an infamous reputation across parts of the internet. Despite this, it remained relatively unknown to the wider Minecraft community. During these years, the foundations of modern 2b2t were being laid, and many of the things the server is known for today first began to emerge. It was during this period that iconic players such as PopBob and FitMC began building their legacies on the server. PopBob became one of the most infamous and recognizable names in 2b2t history through her large-scale griefs and alleged backdoors. Stories about her actions spread throughout the community and helped create many of the myths that still surround the server today. The server itself was also changing rapidly. Highways began to form as players carved massive routes out from spawn, allowing travel across the ever-growing map. Spawn became increasingly destroyed through spawn fags and griefers. Incursions also started occurring during this time, bringing groups of players together to temporarily take control of spawn and further contributing to the server's growing history. Perhaps most importantly, 2b2t began developing an aura of mystery. Much of the server's history went undocumented, meaning stories were often passed between players through word of mouth. At the same time, players became increasingly interested in the mysterious owner of the server, Housemaster, whose real identity remained unknown. This combination of myths, legends, and undocumented history gave 2b2t a reputation unlike any other Minecraft server. By 2016, 2b2t had developed a dedicated community, rich history, and a growing collection of legends. However, despite everything that had happened, the server was still largely unknown to the outside world. That was about to change. Then, on June 1st, 2016, everything changed. A YouTuber by the name of The Camping Russia uploaded a video that would change the course of the server forever. Although the video was simply a let's play on 2b2t, it quickly exploded in popularity, and within just a few days of its release, the server saw a dramatic surge in players. Up until this point, 2b2t had never experienced anything close to this level of growth. Russia had a massive audience, and thousands of viewers rushed to join the server for themselves. What started as a single video soon became one of the biggest events in 2b2t history. As more and more players arrived, the server quickly split into two groups, the veterans and the rushers. The veterans, led by FitMC, fought for weeks against the incoming waves of new players who vastly outnumbered them. Their goal was simple: slow down the flood of newcomers entering the server. To do this, they resorted to tactics such as spawn trapping and massive walls to make escaping as difficult as possible. The conflict soon became known as the Russia War and attracted huge amounts of attention both inside and outside the server. For many players, this was their first introduction to 2b2t. It was during this period that many of the things now associated with the server began to become iconic, including the infamous queue system and the constant struggle to escape spawn. This was the moment 2b2t truly entered the mainstream. Combined with the content FitMC was producing, hundreds of thousands of people were suddenly discovering the server. What had once been a relatively niche Minecraft community was rapidly transforming into one of the most well-known servers in the game. Now that the community and game were at their peak, the golden age of 2b2t started emerging. During this period, popular YouTubers such as FitMC and Salcy1 were posting videos extremely regularly, with many reaching millions of views. These videos exposed 2b2t to a much wider audience and greatly expanded both the community and the server's influence across Minecraft as a whole. The server was constantly active during this era. New groups were forming, old rivalries continued, and players were creating stories that would later become some of the most famous events in 2b2t history. During this time, the number of incursions increased significantly. Although some were viewed as less legitimate than others, they still attracted large amounts of attention and left a lasting impact on spawn and the future of the server. Some of the most iconic bases in 2b2t history were also created during this period. Famous projects such as Moo were built, showcasing just how much players were capable of accomplishing on a server where destruction was always around the corner. Massive builds, griefs, and community events seemed to happen constantly, and history was being produced right in front of the eyes of the player base. This era also benefited from something previous generations of 2b2t never had: extensive documentation. With YouTubers, historians, and community members recording major events as they happened, nearly every significant moment was being preserved. The server was truly at one of its highest points of popularity, with activity occurring across every corner of the community. For many players, this period represents the true golden age of 2b2t, where the server was not only thriving in-game, but also dominating the wider Minecraft community online. After a few years, the cracks and flaws in the server started to show, and the fall slowly began to occur. While 2b2t was still one of the most well-known servers in Minecraft, many of the issues that had existed for years were becoming harder to ignore. The server was no longer experiencing the explosive growth that it had during the Russia War and Golden Age, and signs of decline were beginning to appear throughout the community. One of the biggest problems has always been the queue system. Although the queue is nearly impossible to fix without investing huge amounts of money into the servers and infrastructure, it still discourages many people from even attempting to join in the first place. The queue is divided into two sections: priority queue and non-priority queue. Players with priority queue receive near instant access to the server in exchange for a monthly fee of around $20. While this system helps fund the server, it also creates a large barrier for new players who don't want to spend money just to log in. In recent years, the queue system has changed even further. The number of non-priority players allowed on the server at any given time has been reduced significantly, meaning that free players often face extremely long wait times before they can even begin playing. For many potential newcomers, the experience of waiting hours to join simply isn't worth it, causing them to lose interest before they even get the chance to experience the server for themselves. During the same period, many of the creators and historians who helped make 2B2T famous also began uploading far less frequently. For years, channels such as FitMC and other historians had constantly documented the server's events, introducing millions of people to 2B2T and keeping the community active. However, as uploads became less frequent, the server was no longer being pushed to new audiences through YouTube at the same rate as before. Without the constant stream of documentaries, stories, and major events, much of the hype surrounding the server slowly began to fade. Another major factor contributing to the decline was player burnout. Many 2B2T veterans had been playing on the server for a decade or more. After spending years building bases, fighting wars, and exploring the map, some players simply ran out of new goals to pursue. Others moved on to different servers, while some left Minecraft entirely. As more long-time players became inactive, the community gradually lost many of the people who had helped shape the server's history. All of these factors combined contribute to the server's decline and shape what modern 2B2T looks like today. While it may not dominate YouTube or the wider Minecraft community in the same way it once did, the server is far from dead. In fact, modern 2B2T is much more interesting than many people would think, and despite its decline, it has continued to survive where countless other Minecraft servers have disappeared entirely. 2B2T is a lot different nowadays. If you log onto the server today, one of the first things you'll notice is how empty it feels. Despite hundreds of players technically being online at any given time, the sense of community that wants to find the server isn't nearly as noticeable. Chat moves surprisingly slowly, with each message often taking close to a minute to appear. Compared to the constant activity of the server's golden age, the difference is immediately obvious. A large reason for this is the huge number of bots connected to the server. These bots occupy player slots, leaving less room for real players and making the server feel much quieter than the online player count would suggest. Although the server doesn't seem as active as it once was, it certainly isn't abandoned. Many smaller factions and communities are still active, continuing to build bases, fight wars, and create history. However, unlike the past where much of the player base was connected through a handful of major events, today's community has fragmented into many smaller groups. Because of this, 2B2T feels much less like one massive community and more like dozens of separate communities sharing the same worlds. Another noticeable change is the introduction of chat and sign censorship required by Mojang. Over the years, Housemaster has been forced to implement certain restrictions, meaning even relatively tame swear words on signs are automatically censored. For a server that built its reputation on having absolutely no rules, this has been a controversial change, and to many players, makes modern 2B2T feel very different from the completely unrestricted anarchy server it was once known as. Modern 2B2T hasn't stopped making history, it has simply become quieter. The server is still changing every day, but instead of one large community creating stories together, those stories are now created by smaller groups scattered across the map. 2B2T has existed for over 15 years, and throughout that time, hundreds of wars, incursions, and historic events have taken place. It has grown from a small Minecraft server known only by a niche community on 4chan into one of the most iconic servers in Minecraft history. So, has 2B2T really fallen, or has it simply changed? Depending on who you ask, the answer is completely different. Some believe the server died years ago, while others believe it has just changed. Whatever your opinion is, one thing is certain: After more than 15 years, millions of players, and countless stories, 2p2t has cemented itself as one of the most influential Minecraft servers ever created. And whether it's rising, falling, or simply just continuing its journey, its history is far from over.